Hello, this is James D'Angelo and welcome to the Bitcoin 101 Blackboard series. Today we are going to be looking at the amazing math of private keys. And this is one of the main reasons why it's absolutely impossible to hack Bitcoin. And for all you technophobes out here, don't get confused. These humongous numbers and this amazing new technology doesn't mean it's going to be difficult to understand. This is remarkably simple math, very easy to understand. And after watching this video, you'll be able to explain this phenomenal new technology to your techie friends. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Okay, this is the website bitaddress.org, which immediately creates brand new Bitcoin addresses and private keys. So down here you have your private key and you have your Bitcoin public address. The beauty of this is you can immediately create new ones. As fast as you can click, it'll create new ones. But the real amazing thing that has to do with what we're talking about today is that when you generate this number, and these are really just numbers in sort of a hex 58 format, these are numbers that you have never seen before. In fact, you can take this number right here, pop it into Google, and there will be no search results. So every time you generate a new address, you are generating something that the world has never seen before that second that you generated it. Unless you show it to someone, it will never be seen again. So if I erase them right away, those are numbers that were just for a fleeting second here on Earth, and they will never be seen again. And I know a lot of you right now are going, what? I don't get this. This is the power of big numbers. And so mostly today we're going to be working with this part. This is the private key and this is the public key. But remember, all you need in Bitcoin, the only number you need in Bitcoin is your private key. Your private key can be stuffed into a simple equation and generate the public key every time. So every time you stuff this through elliptic curve, SHA-256, RIPE MD, it will always generate this number right here. And the beauty of that is you can't go backwards. Those equations use clock math, which has been shown forever that it's impossible to go backwards. So you will always be able to generate this public key from this private key every time, every day. Okay, so let's just, before we go, check out some new numbers the world has never seen before. Here's another one. Here's another one. Okay, never ever been seen before, and unless someone stuffs this into the blockchain, it'll never be seen again. How does this work? Well, let's take a step back and let's talk about this. So here's a Bitcoin private key. Okay, and this is one I've used before, so there's actually a few cents in there and you can pull the money out. So someone right after watching this video will probably take that out. But this, as I've said before, is just a number in the hex 58 format. All right, and then they do a little bit of Bitcoin coding to add that 5 there to let you know it's a private key, etc. Now, this number, this one that we just showed you, is generated by having this number right here. Okay, and this is this number in decimal, numbers we're used to. And you can see this is hundreds, this is thousands, this is millions, this is billions, trillions, etc. Okay, and you can see this is a very, very big number. In fact, these digits here are called quindecillions. And it's likely, unless you've fiddled with Bitcoin, you've never heard of a quindecillion. You've never had to deal with quindecillions. In fact, you've probably never had to deal with almost all of these units all the way up here. So these are all just, it's a new range of numbers that we've never had to deal with. I mean, the US federal budget somewhere over here, right? All of world income, you know, is somewhere in this area right here, billions and trillions of dollars. So it's important to start thinking about how much bigger a quindecillion is from billions and trillions and quadrillions, etc. And one more thing that's important is that the same number, the same decimal number you just saw, can also be put in computer format, in binary format. So you can do it in ones and zeros. So you can generate that same decimal number from the page before with these binary digits right here. And some people create their private keys indeed just by flipping a coin, where they say 1 is heads and 0 equals tails. And you can create a perfect private key by just flipping a coin 160 times and putting those numbers together. So if you flip it the first time, you get a heads, you put it there. Second time, you get a heads, you put it there, then tail, tail, and you just keep putting it order till you've got 160, and you can create a perfect private key just by flipping a coin. And this is indeed how a lot of people do it. You can also do it by rolling dice or whatever it is that you use to generate random numbers. So now we start getting to the fun part, right? Bitcoin relies on these private keys to store value. And it relies on the fact that these are numbers that no one's ever used or seen before and never will see again or generate again. Okay, so what Bitcoin suggests is that if you flip a penny 160 times, that number that you have generated is a brand new number, one that has never been seen before on Earth, and unless you show it to someone, it will never be seen again. Pretty outrageous to start thinking about that. And so what Bitcoin is saying You flip a coin 160 times, you put all your ones and zeros together, and you end up with something that we can start using for security. This can be a code for security because no one will generate this again. It sounds completely preposterous right now, I know. The first time you're hearing this, this is really unsettling. I mean, can one number really provide security? Well, what Bitcoin is suggesting is that this one number can provide security that is more secure than banks or more secure than buried treasure. So secure that no hackers, no combination of hackers, not all the hackers in the world teamed up will ever be able to hack this. So what we really need to find out now is, how does this work? Well, what we're going to do, because the human brain is really bad at visualizing just straight numbers, we're going to use a metaphor, and it's a really good metaphor for Bitcoin. We're going to use this idea of drawers. So here's your drawer. Let's call this your Bitcoin private key. And inside it, you're going to put some value. Here we've got someone with a little treasure map, but you can put so many different things inside it. In Bitcoin's case, we're just putting Bitcoins, but those Bitcoins can be shaped to prove access to contracts, deeds, patents, and so many other things. So there's a real power here being able to put something in these Bitcoin drawers. So now let's start with the big question. If I just gave you one single drawer with no locks, is that security? Well, I think most people in the world would say, no, in a single drawer, open drawer like that, is that secure? No, it's not at all. But what if I now multiplied the number of drawers by 4 and I put my value, my wealth right here in drawer number 2? A lot of people would look at this and go, well, it's 4 times longer, but I would still be able to pull out the treasure map or whatever's inside there in just a few seconds. So this isn't much more secure, but some people might have noticed, well, this set of drawers here is in a house, right? And the house adds some security, right? You might have to break in, find the drawers, and rifle through the drawers to find the treasure map. So let's be fair. Let's be fair to Bitcoin, because remember, Bitcoin is public. Anyone in the world can access it. So we really have to put our drawers in public. So our metaphor is not getting better, it's seeming to get worse. If I put some value in this drawer right here, would anyone on earth feel that this is security? Putting some value, putting some coins, putting $1,000 in drawer number 2 right here. Would you actually go to work in this office for the day and then come back after work and think that your money's still going to be there? Well, no. That's not security at all. What about now? What if we put some money right here in drawer number 61? Would you go to work here in the beginning of the day and think the money's still going to be there? No, you wouldn't. But you might start to think that maybe you could go play Frisbee with these guys over here. Your valuables would be safer than if you just left them here on the grass. Someone's going to have to rifle through all these drawers to find drawer number 61 and pull your money out of that. Okay, and remember, there's no locks. These are just open drawers. That's what Bitcoin is, open drawers. If you have the private key, you can get the money out of any of the drawers. So if there's Bitcoins associated with private key, you can just yank it out. So there's no locks. We call it cryptocurrency, but it's not super crypto. So would you feel safe with this setup? Would you actually go to work here? Well, you probably wouldn't. Well, what about now? Okay, so this is the Boston skyline, and behind it are millions and millions of drawers. And we decide that we're going to stick our $2,000 right here in drawer number 6,786,226. Would you now think about maybe going to work for the day? And then at the end of the day, going right to your drawer because you know which drawer it is and pulling your money out? As long as no one saw you, they'd have to start pilfering all these drawers to get your money? You're starting to go, okay, well, that's interesting, but let's start thinking about the problems here. My nephews, Zach and Zane, can open 2 drawers per second looking for chewing gum. So if you told them that you had thousands of dollars that could buy them lots of chewing gum, maybe they could even open 3 drawers per second. So if folks knew that you were actually hiding wealth inside these drawers, well, they'd be trying to open them nonstop. And it's possible that even millions of drawers might not be enough. So is this secure? Well, we don't know. But it's starting to get a little interesting, and we're going to start to have to ask ourselves a question. If we wanted to build a set of drawers that would provide security, not just okay security, but perfect security, how many drawers would we need to make it safe? Is there a number? Is there a number? Can you come up with a number of drawers that would make it perfectly safe? Is 300 billion drawers enough? I think most people are going, no. 300 billion drawers isn't enough. I mean, there's 7 billion people on Earth. You know, you could just randomly pull out a bunch of drawers. Say you had your $2,000 right here and this, I don't know, 226 billion drawer, blah, blah, whatever numbers. Is that safe? Well, it might be safe for an hour, but it's probably not going to be safe for a year. I mean, we really have to think about storing value. We really got to think about security. Well, let's make our problem even tougher because Bitcoin is public, right? It's accessible by everyone with computers. So for our drawer analogy, we need something that's going to make sense. What if hackers had drawer opening drones? These drones could open thousands of drawers every day. They just fly around and open any drawer in our system, right? Suddenly 300 billion drawers doesn't seem to be enough at all. Let's make it even tougher because remember, Bitcoin can be accessed by computers and computers do things very fast. So what if each person on Earth had an app that could control those drones, and using that app, each person on Earth could open 1 billion drawers a day? Is our system safe? Well, 300 billion, everyone on Earth opening 1 billion drawers a day. No, our 300 billion drawer system is not safe. But it leads us back to the question, is there a number of drawers that would start to provide people with security where they could go to bed at night knowing that their money would still be there in the morning? Well, let's look at the difficulty of that, okay? So let's think about our drawer system and imagine all these problems, like people actually making drones that would do it, and people had this phone app and they really could open 1 billion drawers a day. Let's look at the crazy numbers of that. 7 billion people on Earth, each with drones that are opening 1 billion drawers per day, and they're gonna keep this up for 365 days, and we'll just say everyone lives to be 100 and their drone lives to be 100, so they've got 100 years. That means that all this combined over the course of 100 years, you would be able to dig through 260 times 10 to the 21. That's 260 sextillion. Very sexy number. Let's talk about a sextillion, right? Sextillion is a pretty big number. Okay, so Wolfram suggests that 260 sextillion is on the order of the number of grains of sand on Earth. Okay, so the grains of sand on Earth are in the order of 10 to the 20. And remember, this is 260 times 10 to the 21. Okay, so the amount of drawers that all the hackers in the world with their drones and their phone apps, everybody on Earth equally attacking at the same time, would be able to open as many drawers as there are grains of sand on the Earth. And remember, this isn't just the grains of sand you can see. There's grains of sand under the ocean, grains of sand under the sand, all the grains of sand on the Earth. It's an approximate guess, but these are fun numbers to think about. So if everyone together can open all these drawers, well, it just seems impossible. We'd never be able to come up with a number of drawers that would provide security. Or can we? What if there are 10 to the 29 drawers in our system, which is really like 1 million times as many drawers as everyone on Earth can open over the course of 100 years using these special drones with their phone apps? Okay, so literally everyone together working for 100 years would have a 1 in a million chance of finding our randomly placed $2,000. Okay, $2,000 for 100 years, 1 in a million chance that that's going to happen? Well, that's interesting. What if there were 10 to the 35 drawers? So all of a sudden there were 1 trillion times as many drawers as everyone could open together. So instead of 1 in a million chance over 100 years, suddenly we went to 1 in a trillion over 100 years. So you put your $2,000 in one of the drawers, all the drones working furiously for 100 years would have a 1 in a trillion chance of finding it. Well, let's raise the number even bigger. Let's make it 10 to the 38, 1 in a quadrillion. Okay, and human brains are really bad at calculating odds, and some people are going, well, 1 in a quadrillion, that's not enough for me. So we start to think about numbers like 1 in a quadrillion. What are the odds of that? Okay, and it's pretty difficult for humans to imagine these types of numbers, but we need to realize how low a number that is. But what's even more incredible is that the numbers that Bitcoin deals with, this is tiny. Okay, so Bitcoin deals with quindecillions. And here's the sextillion of all the drones and all the computers and all the iPhones working together, everyone on Earth trying to hack this system. What are the odds that they're going to hack one address from Bitcoin in 100 years? We're talking odds that are lower than any odds ever calculated on Earth. And to put this into perspective, here we have a recent Powerball odds. Okay, and Powerball just recently had a winning prize of 149 million. And your odds of winning that were 1 in 175 million. That's on the order down here. So trying to hack one address of Bitcoin makes Powerball look like a lock, makes it look like a sure thing. These numbers are just so much bigger. So it's really important to think about how big numbers can just destroy computers. They make all of the world's computers together look like a snail, look like a dead snail, a frozen snail, a snail in a glue trap. And here's the hacker trying to yell faster, faster at all the world's computers together. Big numbers destroy the hacker. And that is why Bitcoin is relying heavily on these enormous numbers, numbers you have never seen before. So just for fun, let's compare sort of the same idea to pirates back in the day. And we like to think that pirates could bury treasure and that would be safe forever. And indeed, in many ways it was. Some pirate treasures are still being found. So maybe the original pirate who knew where it was, or the map which had the location on it, got destroyed and the pirate couldn't get back and find his money. And so no one was able to find it. Now when someone's building a house, they stumble on some nice little bounty of treasure. So these things stayed for hundreds of years, even though they were worth lots of money because someone was burying it under the ground. So this is what pirates do, right? They have this nice little gold chest. They dig a few feet down. They stuff the treasure chest in there. And now after killing off this guy and this guy, they can sleep pretty well at night. But as we're talking about big numbers and the power of big numbers, let's start thinking about the math of this. Remember, the Earth's surface is not unlimited. It's absolutely enormous, but it's not unlimited. So there's going to be a finite number of chests of gold that you can bury a few feet down under the surface. So we can do the simple math here. 510 million kilometers squared, which is the Earth's surface. And then we have this chest of gold, and to be fair, they're kind of small. So let's say it's got a 2-foot square footprint. So the bottom takes up about 2 square feet, which is pretty small, right? How many of these chests of gold could you put on the Earth? Well, here we go. We transfer kilometers to meters squared, multiplying by 1 million. So you get 5.1 times 10 to the 14th meters squared. Multiply by 9, get a round number for about how many square feet there are on the Earth. We get 4.59 times 10 to the 15th square feet on the Earth's surface. Okay, so we're talking about a 2 square foot footprint. So we basically can put half as many chests of gold, and we'd have a chest of gold underneath the ground everywhere on Earth, including the oceans. And so what is the number of chests of gold you could put everywhere on the Earth? Well, it's surprisingly small when you think about these Bitcoin numbers. We can bury 2.3 times 10 to the 15 chests of gold on Earth. Remember, Bitcoin's in the order of 10 to the 48. Okay, so you'd actually have to cube this number to get the amount of locations that Bitcoin offers. So all the possible places, think of the entire desert covered with chests of gold, all of New York City, every place you've ever been, every stretch of highway, chests of gold everywhere. And you'd have to cube that, not multiply by 3, but cube it to get the amount of different locations, places where you can put Bitcoins. Okay, so it's pretty safe to think that putting your money into a Bitcoin address and letting computers hack at it like crazy nonstop is starting to approach the security of just sticking gold underground in an undisclosed location with no ability for anyone to use a metal detector to find it. This is real outrageous security. And I know some of you are starting to think, okay, so what if all the computers were programmed to hack Bitcoin? Computers are fast. I'll just make a database of all those numbers, all the possible addresses, all the Quindecillion addresses for Bitcoin. And then I'll just query my database for which of those have Bitcoins in it. Okay, so I'll just make this really big database and then I'll just pull out all the money in all the Bitcoin accounts. Well, what's really crazy is we're so used to thinking of computers as capable of doing everything, but computers can't even touch this problem. We'll look at why. All the storage, hard drives in the world today, so all of Google storage, all of China's storage, all the hard drives combined make up what's called a zettabyte. And 1 yottabyte is bigger than a zettabyte by a factor of 1,000. To store all the addresses in Bitcoin, you would require hard drives that are 5 yottabytes squared. Okay, so 5,000 times the current hard drives on Earth squared. You'd start to wonder if all the iron on the Earth would even be able to make an enclosure for the drives that you would need. Okay, so say you built those drives. Say you really put it together and put those drives together. There isn't enough coal and gas to make the electricity to even turn those drives up. Okay, so this is a problem that makes the world's computers look like a snail. And this is why Bitcoin uses these big numbers. It makes it really difficult to conceive of hacking Bitcoin because there's just not enough computational power in the known universe all together trying to solve this problem. Okay, so now that we're kind of blown away by how these big numbers can make computers look retarded, can we start to think that the simple math, basically just using big numbers, right? Where are your Bitcoins? Well, it's at this number. I put that number in, I can pull out those Bitcoins. Can we use this big number math to make a form of security? Would people actually keep money in a system like this new form of public ledger? Well, it's already happening. And it's happening in dramatic fashion. So keep in mind that Bitcoin is just 5 years old, but in numerous addresses, you have well more than $1 million in a single address. So if you could come up with that number, if you could just roll the dice and come up with that number, you could pull out $70 million from this account. And say you messed up and you rolled the wrong number and you came up with this one. Well, you could pull out 68 million from this account. And the list goes on and on and on. There's millions and millions of dollars waiting to be taken by someone who could hack Bitcoin. Well, it's kind of proof that no one's able to hack it. For 5 years, people have just parked money in there. Remember, you don't need a password, you don't need to put your thumbprint on, you don't need any sort of biometrics. All you need is the number and you can pull out $70 million. So if you have nothing better to do and you just feel like rolling dice the rest of your life, you can try, but you're gonna need a lot of lives. You're gonna need a gajillion lives. You're not gonna roll this number and you're not gonna roll this number, okay? And if I generate a new one and send money to it, you're not gonna roll this number or this one. So you can convert it to binary, convert it to decimal, whatever you want. All formats accepted, you're still not going to roll that number. These are numbers you have never seen before. I can pop it into Google and it's not going to have any search results. Did not match any documents. Every time you do this with Bitcoin, generate a new address. These are new numbers, not stored ever anywhere by anybody. Okay, let's do a search for that one. Did not match any results. Same for your private keys, right? Put that over there. You're going to come up empty every time you click on bitaddress.org. Every time. Even if you get a computer to do it, every time you're going to come up empty. Okay, so I'm harping on this. This is the amazingness of big numbers. Okay, and some people might go, well, you can put stuff in a drawer. What goes inside these Bitcoin addresses? Well, really nothing goes in it, right? It's really important to realize that Bitcoins don't truly exist. They're just units of accounts on the Bitcoin ledger. They don't exist at all. So when people talk about intrinsic value on a currency, well, first of all, the whole idea of intrinsic value starts to look like an oxymoron. There is no intrinsic value necessary in a currency. And we start to realize that when we look at dollars, there really is no intrinsic value in the paper, the dollars. People are using cowrie shells for thousands of years over a really broad geographic area. There's no intrinsic value. The snails themselves didn't even want them, right? They chucked them. They were garbage. But the cowrie shells were uniform, hard to copy, and there was a limited amount, and that gave it value, right? It gave it tradable value, gave it value in exchange. That's exactly what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a bunch of drawers, it's just a ledger. And it's a ledger that is protected by enormous numbers more than anything else. It's the fact that you can generate a number with a coin that no one's ever generated before. You can send Bitcoins to that number and no one will ever find that number. Not by accident, not ever. And the beauty of this, and one of the reasons why this is so revolutionary, is that it basically allows equal and full access to banking to anyone who's got a coin to flip. You can flip a coin 160 times. You can start to get involved in Bitcoin. Better off if you have the internet, better off if you have a computer, but you don't need a lot of access to the internet and a lot of access to the computer to do this. You can set up your account, then you can send that public address that you generate from your private key to anyone and they can start to send you money for the products you make. This is a revolution and it is all a result of big numbers. So I hope you find that this math is really compelling and really beautiful. And a lot of you are going to be very unsettled by this. You're not going to feel comfortable with it right away. But over time, over the next 5-10 years, as people start to move towards blockchain technology, our kids and others will start to see that this is more secure than putting money in banks in Cyprus or even money in banks under any government umbrella. You know that your value will be there the next day. You're not so sure with anything else. So that's it for today. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. You can follow us at World Bitcoin Net on Twitter, or do whatever else it is you do, and we'll check you at the next video.